Hello, my name is Dr. Roderick L. Roll, and today I will be going over photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process that plants, algae, and some bacteria will use to convert solar energy into chemical energy. In this image, we're looking at different types of plants. We have ferns and oaks and all types of plants in this picture. This is an aquatic plant. This is called Elodea. It also will go through this photosynthetic process. This is a multicellular algae called kelp. This also absorbs radiant energy and converts it into ATP, or sugars. This is a unicellular protist. This also is going to utilize photosynthesis. This is Euglena. Even cyanobacteria, which is a type of bacteria, it also uses photosynthesis to make energy. Even purple sulfur bacteria will do it. We are now going to look at the structure of a leaf. In this image, we're looking at chloroplast. Chloroplast is the actual organelle that is within the cells of plants. Within a leaf, you have different types of cells. Let's look at the mesophyll cell. The mesophyll cell has chloroplast. Roughly 30 chloroplasts will exist in a mesophyll cell. This is an enlargement of the actual chloroplast. The chloroplast has two membranes, just like the mitochondria and just like the nucleus. It has an outer membrane and an inner membrane. Inside of the inner membrane are these structures called granum. Each granum consists of thylakoids. Gases such as carbon dioxide and oxygen are going to flow through an opening on a leaf called the stomata. So carbon dioxide is going to enter the leaf where it is going to be converted into sugars like glucose. Oxygen is going to come out of the leaf. These gases both move through the stomata. So this slide here is looking at the inner portion of a leaf. So the interior of the leaf contains mesophyll tissue. Each cell of the mesophyll contains 30 to 40 chloroplasts. The pigment chlorophyll is in the membranes of the thylakoids. So think of the grana as being a $10 roll of quarters. Each quarter has a heads and a tails. Each head or tail is a thylakoid membrane. Photosynthesis takes place in the membrane. Therefore, if it was a stack of quarters, photosynthesis would take place in the stacks of quarters. This is the photosynthetic equation. On the left side of the yield sign, you have 6 carbon dioxide, 12 water, and light energy. Those things are called the reactants. They must be present in order for a product to be formed. The product is to the right of the yield sign. So what will be made? Glucose will be made. oxygen will be made, and water will be made. This slide just shows you where each one of the carbons for the reactants will be used in the products, and which of the oxygens from the reactants will be used in the products also. This is a simplified version of the photosynthetic equation. Photosynthesis is a process that converts radiant energy. This radiant energy comes to Earth from the sun, and it travels in discrete energy that is called photon energy. This radiant energy is going to be converted into potential energy, and that potential energy is eventually going to be utilized by animals when we eat the plant. This energy will be produced through a process called the light reaction and the dark reaction. Both of these reactions are part of photosynthesis. We will first look at the light reaction, but we're just going to summarize it. The light reaction consists of several steps, and it all occurs in a thylakoid membrane. The first thing that occurs is water will be split. Once water is split, we're going to take away the hydrogens and we're going to release the oxygen. The third thing is we're going to reduce NADP into NADPH. Fourthly, we will generate energy from a process called photophosphorylation. In this slide, water is being consumed by the plant. How does it get there? It is absorbed through the root. It travels through xylem up the stem until it reaches the cells in the leaves. Then water is going to be split. Once it is split, the electrons and the hydrogen are going to go one place. The oxygen is going to leave the cell through the stomata. The third thing is NADPH will be made and ATP will be made. So ATP is made through a process called photophosphorylation. This occurs when the sunlight stimulates electrons in the thylakoid membrane to generate ATP. The second part of photosynthesis is called the dark reaction. Another name for dark reaction is the Calvin cycle. This occurs in the stroma. Sugar will be formed from carbon dioxide, ATP, and NADPH. Carbon dioxide comes from the atmosphere. It comes into the plant through the stomata. ATP was made in a light reaction. It's going to be used in a dark reaction. And NADPH was created in the light reaction, and it is also going to be used in the dark reaction. The sugar that's going to be made when 3 carbons are fixed together is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. This fixing of carbon is called carbon fixation. Once we've created 2 glyceraldehyde 3-phosphates, then we will produce 1 glucose molecule. This image shows the cycle. Carbon dioxide comes into the plant. Sugar is going to be created, a glucose molecule. Other products that will be produced are NADP, which will be used in the light reaction, and ADP that will be used in the light reaction. Now let's look at a few pigments that you might see in a plant. These pigments are going to absorb radiation. Radiation can be in the form of energy, light energy. Some light energy is visible and some light energy is invisible. So to discuss this further, let's explain what the electromagnetic spectrum is. It is the entire spectrum of radiation. We have the most damaging wavelength radiation is gamma rays, and the one that causes the least damage is radio waves, all the way to the far right. This electromagnetic spectrum is organized based on the distance from the top of a wave to the top of the next wave. Or you can measure from the bottom of the wave to the next bottom of the next wave. So we measure crest to crest or trough to trough. So the distance from crest to crest and radiation that is super close is called gamma rays. The distance is very, very short. Versus radio waves, the distance between crest and crest is very, very far. So right in the middle of our electromagnetic spectrum, we see the visible light spectrum. This is the portion that the plant absorbs. This is the portion that the plant can use. So visible light is between 350 nanometers to 750 nanometers. This is going to drive photosynthesis. A cool experiment to see these pigments would be to take spinach and put it into a mortar and pestle. The mortar is the bowl and the pestle is the spoon. You will pulverize the spinach until you have a green extract. Then you put the green extract into a test tube. Then you use this capillary tube to absorb some of the green extract. Then you would put it on this piece of paper called filter paper or chromatography paper. Next, you would put the chromatography paper in a test tube with acetone. The acetone is then going to move up the chromatography paper, therefore moving the pigments based on their attraction to the paper. Notice that chlorophyll B has the strongest affinity to the paper, so it sticks first. Then chlorophyll A, then xanthophyll, and then keratin. This is another image of that experiment. Chlorophyll A is the main photosynthetic pigment that is in plants. It's the most important. Chlorophyll B and carotenoids are also associated with plants. We'll show you how chlorophyll A is very important later. Carotenoids are very important because they are photoprotective to the plant. We as humans utilize this photoprotectiveness because we eat carrots and it will protect our eyes and it will aid in night vision. This slide here shows the estimated absorption of chlorophyll A versus chlorophyll B. Notice that chlorophyll A absorbs wavelength of 400 to 450 best, around 70%, and again 650 to about 710, and it absorbs that at about 50%. So this blue line is showing us the wavelength that chlorophyll A absorbs, and more importantly, it shows us which wavelength it reflects. So therefore, it reflects wavelengths between 500 to 600, which is blue and green. Therefore, if it reflects green, that is the color that you see. So whenever you see a green plant, what you are actually seeing is the reflection. That's the light that is being reflected. So therefore you can see it. This slide shows us the importance of the structure of chlorophyll A versus chlorophyll B. Notice that the difference between the two is that green box. In that green box, if it's chlorophyll A, it has a methyl group, and if it's chlorophyll B, it has a CHO group. Also located in the center of this green circle is magnesium. So this should help you understand the importance of eating those cofactors. Remember, the cofactor is going to bind to an enzyme and help the enzyme become functional.